Who would have thought that the young man who was initially considered only a seat replacement to fill the void left by Lewis Hamilton would now transform into the legend's biggest nightmare in the 2026 season? Kimi Antonelli, who carries the heavy burden of wearing the silver Mercedes jersey, was initially predicted to take years to even approach Hamilton's racing level. However, what happened on the Suzuka track yesterday was beyond comprehension. Antonelli did not just replace Hamilton. He seemed to have inherited a secret weapon that made Hamilton at Ferrari look like a racer of a different class. The dynamics in the Suzuka paddock changed drastically when Antonelli saw how coolly he took down the fast sections that used to be Hamilton's playground. The narrative that developed before the season started was that Hamilton was moving to Ferrari to chase his 8th title, while Mercedes would only be a transition team for the rookie. However, the reality was the opposite. Antonelli's Mercedes W17 was in full force, while Hamilton had to fight tooth and nail just to maintain his position from the chasing mid-pack cars. An independent investigation of the telemetry data revealed a particularly painful anomaly for Maranello. While Hamilton was subjected to the strictest ERS energy management on his Ferrari SF26, Antonelli appeared to have access to a much more aggressive power mode. Suspicions arose. Had Mercedes passed on a technical legacy that had been hidden from Hamilton to the young driver? This was the beginning of Hamilton's nightmare, where he was battling a car he had built himself, but with technology that was now turning against him. In Japan, the pattern became even clearer. Antonelli wasn't just lucky. He was supported by a power unit integration system far more mature than what Ferrari currently has. Telemetry showed that at the legendary 130R corner, Antonelli was able to draw on battery power instantly without experiencing any power degradation, a luxury Hamilton lacks. Besides the engine, Antonelli's highly adaptive driving style, adapted to the 2026 active aerodynamic regulations, made it difficult for Hamilton. Several onboard cameras captured the Italian's composure while executing defensive maneuvers against the 7-time world champion. The microcomponents on the Mercedes front wing, initially considered merely aesthetic, turned out to be key to stability, allowing Antonelli to drive more daringly through the highly technical S-curves. Mercedes, through Toto Wolff, certainly prides itself on its young talent as the team's bright future, unhindered by the past. However, Wolff's calm demeanor in front of the Ferrari garage seemed to send a subtle message that they had won a major gamble in this season's transfer market. For Hamilton, this was a devastating mental blow. Seeing his old seat filled by someone capable of faster speeds using technology that seemed foreign to him, even though he had been there for decades. Let's compare that to Charles Leclerc, Hamilton's current teammate at Ferrari. Leclerc himself seemed surprised by Antonelli's ability to overtake from the outside in even the most challenging sectors. Ferrari, who initially considered Mercedes no longer a serious threat after Hamilton's departure, now has to face the harsh reality that the compliment they underestimated has now become a real threat to their world title ambitions in the new era of 2026. If the FIA investigation finds any legal loopholes in Mercedes' energy mapping, Antonelli's reputation as a prodigy rookie will be seriously questioned. However, until such evidence is revealed, the world must admit that Mercedes has successfully made the most painful transition for Hamilton. This Mercedes kitchen secret scandal is a very spicy spice, making every race series feel like a judgment on Hamilton's decision to leave Brackley to pursue his dream at Maranello. The nightmare rumors at Suzuka also signaled to the entire grid that the F1 power structure had shifted permanently. The big teams were now wary of Mercedes's proven track record of producing drivers who instantly clicked with a highly complex car. This imbalance sparked a crisis of confidence for Hamilton, who began to question whether Ferrari truly possessed the infrastructure to match the efficiency of his former team, now led by the talented youngster. The most ironic thing is seeing how the Mercedes fans who once adored Hamilton now began to chant Antonelli's name passionately in the Suzuka stands. This feeling of marginalization was clearly visible in Hamilton's gestures as he climbed out of the cockpit of his red-hot but underpowered car. For him, seeing Antonelli celebrating on the podium was a reflection of what he could have had if he had stayed. but now it all felt like a nightmare unfolding in broad daylight. As the technical investigation following the Japanese race continues, the pressure on Ferrari to make major updates is mounting. Vasseur must quickly find a way to give Hamilton the same weapons if he doesn't want the 2026 season to end in tragedy for the legendary driver. The public is eagerly awaiting whether Ferrari can reverse-engineer Mercedes' mysterious technology, or whether they will continue to be the butt of the young man initially considered a mere extra in the transfer market. What was initially considered just a spare seat has now become a nightmare that haunts Lewis Hamilton's every lap with Ferrari. Is Kimi Antonelli really a new genius? Or is he just a pawn in a Mercedes technology scandal that has not yet been fully revealed? One thing is for sure, this teacher versus student rivalry has just begun and will be the most dramatic history in modern Formula One civilization. What do you think? Does Hamilton regret moving to Ferrari after seeing Antonelli's performance? Leave your thoughts in the comments column. Kimi Antonelli holds a 9-point lead over George Russell in the championship race, and the gap on the track is also incredibly narrow. It's no surprise that George Russell was tipped as the favorite to win the 2026 Formula One title even before the season began, given Mercedes' performance in pre-season testing. Few agreed on the expected order after that. Some combinations of Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri were second and third in pre-season predictions, and some even included Fernando Alonso among the favorites. Meanwhile, Kimi Antonelli was never really in the running. Yet he now stands 9 points clear in the championship standings, with 2 wins to Russell's 1. While Russell has had his share of misfortune so far in the early stages, Antonelli's performances suggest the Italian teenager deserves his early lead. When Antonelli arrived in F1 last year, he was greeted with equal measure of enthusiasm and skepticism. Mercedes has had to walk a fine line in managing expectations. The Silver Arrows are hoping their longtime prospect will be a future title contender, but remain firm in their desire to avoid applying early pressure. The team wants to give Antonelli a chance to develop under the F1 spotlight, knowing the championship is littered with title winners who never truly honed their skills. While Russell remains the favorite, Antonelli is much closer to him than expected. But how evenly matched are their abilities, and which driver is faster? Let's see, with the caveat that the 2026 sample size isn't particularly large at the moment, and Russell is the answer. Overall, Russell's time difference from the theoretical best time 100% was 0.112%, while Antonelli was 0.230% off the theoretical time of 100%.